Hello everyone, I know it's been a while since I did one of these videos, but we're going to go over 10 more underrated commander cards. We have some more stuff here, some more inspiration. I skipped a few sets, so we have a lot of good cards to go over. We're just going to jump right into the video here. No honorable mentions because these are just 10 cards that I think deserve to see a lot more play or should be higher up on your list of considerations. The first one we have here is Detection Tower. This is very similar to Arcane Lighthouse. The only difference is that this only works for hexproof, and it's a lot more than just our opponent's creatures, so we can target them as well if we want to. There's a lot of painful cards to have to deal with that make our opponents hexproof, so we can't target them for certain things. So taking away hexproof from our opponents is a really nice thing. But yeah, there's a lot of annoying commander creatures out there. Narset, in particular, the fact that she has hexproof can make her very difficult to deal with if you're a control deck. Same thing with Ural the Miststalker. But getting around commanders like those is going to make it a lot easier for you just in general. Even if you're not just a control deck, if you have targeted removal at all, it would still be worth it. And if you are one of those people that like to build a sideboard for commander, I can't see how this would be a bad consideration. The next card we have here is Remorseful Cleric. From M19, we have commanders like Carador Ghost Chieftain that I think would love playing with a Remorseful Cleric. You also have Tishar, Ancestor's Apostle, which would love bringing this back and exiling more of our opponent's graveyards, but exiling an entire graveyard just for sacrificing it is really sweet. And it definitely, I would say, is a better consideration for putting this into your deck over something like a Bajuka Bog. If you really are desperate for something to deal with our opponent's graveyards, may not fit into every single deck, but a very decent value creature. Doesn't cost too much to do what it does. The next card is Play of the Game. This is one of those awesome assist cards from Battle Bond, which I'm absolutely in love with that mechanic, because in a multiplayer game, it's very political. You don't have to throw this into a group hug deck, but just any deck where you feel like you're not going to be making too many enemies, because you are going to need some people to be on your side to play this. It is kind of expensive if you just pay for it all on your own. So being able to exile all non-land permanents in a situation where one person has everything, they have a planeswalker, they have a ton of creatures, they're just dominating the game, this can really just turn the tables on them. Absolutely love the card. I usually love removal anyway, but I don't feel like this card is being mentioned that often. And then we have a card from Dominaria. We have Unwind. This is kind of a nod to the Urza's block, where you had cards like Cloud of Fairies, Peregrine Drake, Great Whale, Palinchron. These are all cards that untapped your mana, which is very powerful and really broken with something like a Deadeye Navigator. This is probably closest related to the card Rewind. It's even similar in name. That was 4 mana, counter to target spell. You get to untap 4 lands, or up to 4 lands. Unwind, you counter a target non-creature spell, and then you get to untap up to 3 lands. So very similar. Some people don't like playing cards that just counter non-creatures, but non-creature spells are the majority of cards in the format. You have so many artifacts and enchantments, instants and sorceries, planeswalkers. Literally everything that isn't a creature is counterable with this card, and for just 3 mana, you can then just untap 3 lands. After the fact, save up mana for another counterspell. These cards are amazing. Recommended for so many control decks in the format. And then we have a card from Ixalan. This was a while ago, but this card is starting to see a little bit more play, and I'm slowly falling into love with it. We have Costly Plunder. In addition to cast it at instant speed for 2 mana, you have to sacrifice a creature or an artifact, and then you get to draw 2 cards. This is kind of like a Sign in Blood, also 2 mana, but at the cost of life, and you don't really have the benefit of timing. So this card, in my opinion, is a lot better, and also synergizes with strategies where you want to get rid of an artifact you have or a creature. Sacrificing creatures can actually be beneficial for certain strategies, so it's not really a downside like a lot of additional costs would end up being. And I'm usually in love with cantrips anyway. I feel like if you can play some more card draw in your deck, you're probably going to be better off. The next card we have here is another one from Dominaria. We have Whisper Blood Liturgists. Tap them to sacrifice 2 creatures to bring a creature from your graveyard back to the battlefield, which is so playable in many decks, whether it's a Marana Clan Neltoth or an Etherios God of Passage, any sort of graveyard-based deck where you have a lot of creatures to sacrifice. Again, that's not always a bad thing. It's just an additional cost, trying to offset the benefit of getting a creature back from your graveyard. But yeah, I mean, recursion's always valuable. Even if you do have to sacrifice more creatures to get one back, it's still going to be worth it. Also playable as a commander too, although I definitely like him better as one of the 99. And then we have Lathless Dragon Queen. Very similar to Udvara Hellkite, although it's not on an attack. This is just whenever another dragon enters the battlefield under your control, a non-token one. That would be hilarious if it wasn't, because then you could just immediately get infinite dragon tokens. But you're going to be getting 5/5 dragon tokens, also playable as a commander option. Usually any dragon deck wants to play this card or wants to play a card like this, so why not throw it into any dragon deck as one of the 99? If you're playing the Dragon, I can't see why this would be a bad option. Very early when it comes to seeing play in Commander for a lot of cards from M19. Might take a little bit longer for a card like Lathless, but it does see play. I mean, it is a good card. I only anticipate it's going to see more play in the future. And then the next card we have is Runic Armasaur. Another good one from M19. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or a land that isn't a mana ability, you get to draw a card. Really outside of the box, nothing that's too oppressive, but it's going to guarantee you some card draw because there are a ton of activated abilities of creatures and lands that aren't mana abilities. So being able to draw a card whenever an opponent activates one of them is a pretty big deal. Because green doesn't always have the best card draw. It has some things, usually in sorceries. Some ETBs give card draw in green, but you don't always have the cheapest way to draw cards. This just sits on the field. 5 toughness, 3 mana, is a dinosaur, so it does fit into a lot of dinosaur tribal strategies just because of that. Don't know if it's going to see a lot of play in Commander, but I know it's going to be overlooked by so many people. Drawing cards just whenever your opponents activate something is hilarious though. And it's not anywhere near as busted as something like Consecrated Sphinx, so it's a lot less likely to be hated off the field, and it could just sit there for a while and draw you a ton of cards. And the next card we have is Satyr Enchanter. If you're familiar with the Enchantress cards, they let you draw cards whenever you cast an enchantment. There's a lot of different ones, but this one is pretty much just another 3 mana, gonna let you draw a card whenever you cast an enchantment. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because some people might overlook it. If you're going to be building an enchantment deck with the new Bant one that is coming out here for Commander 2018. Pretty decent option. Again, card draw is so good in Commander. If you can get it off of a cast trigger, that's pretty sweet. And then the last card we have here, the 10th and final one, is a Poison Tip Archer. This card is amazing. If you love your Blood Artists, if you love your Zulaport Cutthroats, this card is probably going to be high up on your list as well. So underrated, so good. A lot of Golgari decks want to play a card like this in addition to those, so you force your opponents to lose a lot more life. And it's not as selective as something like Zulaport Cutthroat. It could be any creature, so it could be tokens, it could be your opponent's creatures. Anything that's dying, your opponents, each of them is going to lose a life. If you have anything that can get you infinite death triggers, the same way as those other two, you're going to be able to win the game. If you want to play a board wipe, you're going to be forcing your opponents to lose a lot of life. Definitely something that Golgari Colors wanted, and they finally got something like this. So if you're looking to build a Golgari deck or any deck playing black-green, I highly recommend this card. Very good if you can keep the pressure on your opponents. And hey, it's reach and death touch, so it can block all day for you. Your opponents with their flyers aren't going to want to swing at you. Awesome. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for these 10 underrated Commander cards. Might be a while before I do another one, but who knows. Just wanted to get this one out of the way because it has been a while since I did the last one. I think I did it for Ixalan or Rivals of Ixalan. So it feels good to put another one out there for you guys. But as always, let me know if you liked the video. Share it with your friends, family. You guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.